Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy, Ramagani, back with Choices That Matter, and the sun went out. And when we last left off, we're got ambushed by some raiders, or some quote-unquote raiders, because they were not really good at what they did. And they were doing it to protect people, so yeah. Modi figured out that we're trying to fucking romance Sharon, or he couldn't tell who I was trying to romance because I kind of was flirting with both of them, low-key. So he couldn't tell. We're now on a farm waiting for the American astronauts to get there. And when I walked into the barn, Etienne and Sharon were both awake. So and then Modi says, "Oh, fancy seeing these two here." So I decided I was going to go over to Sharon, and here's what happens. Turning my back on the tractor, I made my way towards Sharon. She looked up as I drew close. "Hey," she called. "Care to hold this light for me? The engine was running a little rough yesterday, and I wanted to get it tuned." "Sure." I took the lamp and held it at the angle she wanted, watching her work quickly and gracefully. "You're very good at this," I remarked, mesmerized. She smiled. "Vadik used to say that I read machines like he does code. It's a simple science to me, you know?" "Sure, I guess." I shuffled my feet, waiting. "How are you and Vadik? You forgiven him yet?" "There's nothing to forgive," she muttered, standing straight and wiping her face with a rag. "I left him. It was because he was in jail, sure, but it was still my decision." "He's out of jail now," I say, watching her face carefully. Her lips pulled up at the corner. "True enough, but only because we broke him out. I can't see myself getting back with him, though I still care for him." "I see," I mused, garnering me a look from her. Slowly, she went back to her work. "Any reason for all these questions?" she asked, careful not to look me in the eyes. Oh no. Is this how I work and pronounce my love for her? Can I call it curiosity about my friend? I shrugged. Damn. Friend? More than a friend, maybe. She smiled, pausing in her work to look at me. Maybe I'd like that. A warm glow started in my in my belly. "You think we can pull this off?" She continued, looking around at the pink light starting to filter over the horizon, sending astronauts to space. Holy shit. I like that response. I'd believe anything of Delores, I nodded. What I'm questioning is why she's trusting me with so much. "Miss Montague has great faith in you, teacher. Even from the beginning. It's in her notes." I looked down at my little emoticon, frowning. You've read her notes?" I asked. "When?" "A while back. I was curious." Sharon laughed and I cracked a smile too. That was Modi, always the curious one. Sharon and I chatted for a while about nothing but enjoyed each other's company for the time. When the sun was finally in the sky, Delores walked out of the barn and motioned me over. "I gotta go," I murmured to Sharon. "Do great things," she waved goodbye. Oh, 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 oh. I think I'm starting to get somewhere with Sharon now. Honestly, actually getting somewhere. "Teacher, you are terrible at flirting." God! Bodhi! Maybe help me out? "You're terrible at flirting." "Well, why don't you try it next time, smarty pants?" "That's because I wasn't trying to flirt, Modi." "Well, why don't you try it next time, smarty pants?" "I'm trying to flirt." "Teacher, I don't wear pants." "Your observation skills are also suck." Oh my god, this motherfucker. He's so funny. He's funny as fuck, bro. Oh my god, bro. Not all of us have cameras, you know. Delores led me up into the loft where she had set up a table with blueprints of the Vostokny launch site scattered across. She pointed to the blueprint of the central building. This is where they assemble and prep shuttles for launch, she explained. When it's ready, it slides out along this track to the edge of its dam-like structure, which sends the burn of the launch in a safe direction. I'm with you so far, I nodded. These buildings are all spread out. Given our numbers, we need every car we can find, and we can only occupy the essential buildings, she continued, motioning to several more structures on the other side of the fire dam. We have the element of surprise here, and the buildings aren't really guarded, so we should be able to take control of the facility easily. Once we do that, we'll have to barricade every entrance and prepare against attacks. I'm sorry, what? I asked, stepping back. You think we'll be under attack? I'm not ruling anything out, she folded her arms and stared out a nearby window. The Russian government may be in shambles, but it doesn't mean they'll leave us alone. Plus, if the company finds out where we are, they'll come for us. We are on the complication matrix after all. Okay, that does make sense. There's a gang and looters too, I groaned, suddenly realizing how right she was. Let's hope they aren't already there. They probably are. That's why I want Crank on point, she nodded. He's clever when it comes to a fight, so use him. And be careful, I don't want to bring astronauts back to a war zone. Satin has experience in guerrilla warfare, I mused, rubbing my chin. We could use her. Can you fly the jet without her? Yes, but it's always easier with a co-pilot, of course. She visibly weighed up the pros and cons in her own head before turning to me. It's your call. If you want her, I'll take Matron. Oh, Jesus. Well, yeah, it's gonna be Delores and then somebody else in that jet, and only them. Alright, no, you know what? You're right. You should keep Satin. Delores nodded. As you wish. While I'm away, I doubt I'll be able to contact you. You're in charge. You understand? I'd rather it be a group effort, I said, feeling pressure. If we can all agree, it's so much easier. But not always a reality, Delores cautioned. This had to be alone. This had to be done. We won't get a second chance. I nodded, rubbing my forehead. I was getting a headache. Downstairs, we laid out the blueprints for everyone else, telling them the same thing. Delores had told me about the layout. How exactly would we prepare the shuttle? Chase grinned apologetically, looking around. I mean, rocket science is basically the one discipline of engineering that I'm not qualified in. I shook my head, put the hand to stop it. We're not. As for the people Delores is bringing back, we just need to secure the area, make sure everything has power, and that it's not been looted to death, alright? Mr. Chase, if I can get your engineering schematics of Vostokny, can you follow them? I can try. Simple stuff like power linking up machinery, I can handle that. What about security, I asked. Knowing the Russians, I won't be surprised if there are turrets we can use. Oh! Yeah, they probably got that. I can definitely look into it, he agreed. I will start working on acquiring that information then. It shouldn't take too long. The emphasis on acquiring. Cocky, Vadik noted. Confident. Enough, I laughed. Does everyone understand their roles? Good. Load up. I want us settled in Vostokny Cosmodrome by nightfall. Everyone dispersed and I grabbed Delores' hand before she pulled away. Please be careful, Delores. We need you. She raised an eyebrow. I thought it was just the purse. Exactly, we need that. You're part of our team. Just be careful. Delores blushed, something I had never seen before. I can look after myself, you know, she said stiffly, snatching back her hand and strutting away. Once again, I was in the car with Crank, this time in the passenger seat. I twitched my eye, darting around, anxious about getting jumped by gangs or otherwise. Will you calm down? Chase grumbled in the back seat. You're making me nervous. Teacher, everything will be okay. You can trust me. I really don't trust your word about that, though. I know I can, Modi, but you can't possibly know that. Exactly! How does he just know that, unless he hacked into the cameras? Of course I can. Professor Soul told me that one day I'd know many things. He gave me that gift I see now. What? I frowned, turning to look at Etienne. At the mention of his father, the park warden leaned forward to listen. Modi, Soul told you this? When? When you left me behind, teacher. You forgot me for a weekend. You did? Etienne asked. It was out of character for me to leave Modi anywhere. It was right after company gave me Modi, I nodded. I wasn't used to having anything on my wrist yet. Modi, what happened that weekend? Professor Soul gave me a gift. He made it possible for me to learn. He said that maybe one day I'll be my own person. Why haven't you told me this before, Modi? Etienne, are there any notes of this in his diary? Yeah, are there any notes of this? No, nothing, Etienne replied, but I am still translating. What was my father doing? He was a serial tinker, though he was usually more forthcoming with his experiments, particularly after they were done. I winced, remembering the few experiments Soul had used for me for. He'd always explain his process, not that I'd understand. Maybe this one was failed, Chase supplied, and he was embarrassed to admit it. It was not a failure. I took a deep breath, closing my eyes. Alright, Modi, I said calmly as a good. Is there anything else you haven't been telling me? That would be telling, teacher. I have secrets too, you know. That's not how a personal assistant is meant to work, especially an electronic one, Etienne muttered, looking at Little Green. You can sort out your love life later, Crank interrupted. We're nearly there. Keep sharp. I called over the radio to let the other cars and let them know. I felt myself tensing up as we drove down the winding road. Vostokny Cosmodrome was surrounded by forest, and the road leading up to it was long and unusually wide. I imagined it was for trucks carrying rocket parts. I hoped everything in that launch site was still working. Take it easy, I cautioned. No heroics this time. Copy that, Crank muttered. We turned the corner and Vostokny came into sight, and nothing else. The gates were open and no one was on the road or the compound. Trap? Etienne asked, or abandoned? I think it's a trap. We progressed slowly, taking our convoy 2 cars through the long road surrounded by shiny new buildings. The further along we got, the more I realized that the second option that Chase supplied was correct. It was abandoned. Why would everyone just leave? Sharon called over the radio. I picked it up to reply. I'm guessing the government had better things to do, more important sites to secure, I murmured. Who could think to use the Cosmodrome apart from us? True. Crank took us right down to the launch building and drove the car straight in and up to the towering shuttle. Whoa, I murmured, looking up out the window. People forget just how large they are, Chase nodded, eyes glazing over. I'm surprised there's one here already assembled. It's good for us. Less time spent tinkering. They must have been planning to launch when this place was left behind. We parked alongside the giant beast and I called everyone together to divide into teams. Oh God. Chase, I want you and Crank to go to the furthermost building, gather anything you think we might need, turn on any equipment we could use remotely. I nodded to Crank as he picked up his rifle. We want to keep as tight as possible. Sharon, Matron, you two start with the barricades. Get us perimeters and make it secure. Etienne, go with them and take a handgun. You know how to use one. What about me? Vadik asked, narrowing his eyes at Sharon and Etienne as they headed away. You're here with me, I explained. There's plenty of computers around here and I don't know how to work them. I can help too, teacher. That's right, Modi, and I'll set up camp, move the cars around a bit, pull out the blankets and tents. Vadik moved off towards the banks of computers on the second level, and I went to the cars to get started. Teacher, have you decided who you love the most? You, Modi, I love you the most. Don't pester me, Modi. I have other things to think about. Oh, thank you, teacher. But I'm not interested in sexual... Oh, God. You made me fall to the ground. Jesus Christ. But I'm not interested in sexual relations. I'm not an organic being. Modi, you know that's not what I meant, I said, smiling. We worked over the day and got as much done as we could. God damn it. Oh, God. Man, now I'm gonna be laughing through the rest of this recording because of this. Man, what the hell? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, Jesus Christ. Etienne came back for an axe and started chopping down smaller trees to use as barricades, and Chase routinely brought back equipment from the outer buildings. I tried to keep tabs on everyone. Crank found a quad bike, which I found delightfully easy to use, so I took that around to make sure everyone was safe. When Sharon found a second one, we had her use it to drag the cut down trees. This kept on for a couple of days. Eventually we found some movable chain link fences that Etienne used to prop up the barricades. A second jet from China landed the same day. Chase finished scavenging for electronics and began doing what he could at the launch building. God damn it, it's back! Etienne ran over to meet the jet with me, but his space fell when only Wong stepped out before it took off again. I thought you were bringing more of the Aetherites with you, yes, Wong. Why are you alone, Wong? That was the plan, but there was another attack, he admitted, shaking my hand. The pilot and I barely got off the ground. Santiago's group, I asked dryly. The Victorious, yes. I lost a few more friends again, yet here I stand. I consoled Wong as best I could, but he was just interested in getting to work. I sent him with Etienne to help with reinforcements. The next day, Delores touched down with the American astronauts, all three of them. They left us immediately to look around the facility, and I turned to Delores. I was expecting more, I said honestly. She nodded. One of us will have to go with them, someone qualified. No, I'm not going to space. Fuck that. No. Modi, why'd you have to say that? Delores rolled her eyes. Not you. I doubt you'd pass the fitness test, she said. I was more thinking Chase Price. He's an engineer, young, fit. He'll be of use to them. Are you going to tell him or shall I asked, looking up to where he was on the catwalk, looking over the edge at the astronaut, checking their progress. I will. What's new here? Nothing, honestly, except Modi mentioned sexual relations. I indicated that she should follow me, and I took her over to where we had set up camp. There was no one here when we arrived. The shuttle was already there, and I've had a team building our defenses in case anyone tries to attack us. Where are they now? Satin asked, coming over from the jet. I'd like to see what I can do. It's kind of my thing, you know. Etienne will be back with the bike in a second. He'll take you over. So no casualties, Delores said. Or Delores nodded. Good. Not quite, I shook my head. One arrived alone. He was attacked by the Victorious in China and lost most of the Aetherites. Minimal then, Delores sighed. How much time do we have until launch? Chase and Fadik have been working on it, but neither of them have the right qualifications. We'll have to ask our new friends that. Good luck. If I didn't know they're astronauts, I'd think they're crazy cowboys, she muttered, walking away. I watched the Americans approach Fadik and strike up a conversation. I groaned. Who knows what he'd say to them. Oh God. Join the conversation. I walked over and smiled to the astronauts, holding out my hand in greeting. How's it going, Vadik? I asked, looking at the confused array of numbers on his computer screen. It's going, he grunted. We Russians aren't great at making simple-looking interfaces. True there, friend, the largest astronaut nodded, chuckling. I smiled ruefully, turning to the three of them. Welcome to Vostokny Cosmodrome. Look anything like yours? Nothing, he shook his head, but we'll figure it out. I'm chief and pilot. This is Jack and Sam, my officers. No females in your ranks, I asked, looking at the three men. Our fourth Giant died last year, Sam said grimly. We'll need a replacement. We can help you with that. When do you think you'll have a timeline for launch? Tomorrow morning, Chief mused, looking to the others for confirmation. I can help you out with the data I've collected too, Vadik nodded, pressing a few buttons. Excellent. Let me or Delores know if you need anything, I smiled. I nodded and thanked the Americans again, shaking their hands with Chief Sam and Jack. Damn it, Moni! When I found Delores cooking on the camp stove, I told her what I had learned. Good, she nodded, chewing a piece of beef jerky. The sooner we can get off the ground, the better. We're setting targets here. I can no longer access the company's databanks, Miss Montague. I cannot warn against attacks anymore. You asked Modi to do that? I asked, frowning. I mentioned it might be a good idea, she nodded. It's a good idea. Better cautious than dead. I'm not going to be blindsided, Delores said in agreement. I should know better than anyone what their methods are. True that. You really think they'd come after us? I was being considered, teacher. It was being considered, teacher. Wong tapped me on the shoulder, smiling. Welcome back, Delores. Nice to see you cooking again. Listen, where can I get my hands on some high-grade chemicals? He asked cheerily. Why do you want chemicals? Explosives, he laughed. I thought of it just then. There's plenty of useful explosives you can make with common chemicals. Chase, I yelled, getting his attention and waving him over. He started descending the ladder and I turned back to Wong. Chase will show you where they are, but don't use anything before checking with the astronauts. If we make bombs out of the stuff we need, we're back to where we started. Take my bike, he nodded, heading over to meet Chase. Delores raised an eyebrow at me. Do you really think that's a good idea, she asked, folding her arms. Hell no. Can't be worse than letting Crank have a rocket launcher, I shrugged. Wong's trained in that stuff at least. So is Gilbert, Delores retorted. He was Army before I found him. Huh. Figures. I looked over at the astronauts as they do their work. I still couldn't believe how much of our fate was dependent on what we might see on a video recording that had crashed on the surface of the moon. I hope that whatever was on it could help our scientists come up with a real solution to our disappearing sun problem. Teacher, what happens if we can't launch before the next incident and can't get the radio recordings? We'll get it. Don't worry about that, I promise. That evening, we gathered around the generator for dinner. Though there was a mess hall in one of the other buildings, I preferred to keep everyone close, so we had set up lights, beds, and heaters around the cars. Everyone was glad that Delores had cooked instead of me. I wasn't bad, but Delores was an excellent cook. It was good for morale. Does it feel like the calm before the storm to anyone else? Matron asked, looking around. We're all here now, walking towards the same goal. Even the children of Gaia and the Aetherites, who usually hate each other. There's a black sheep in every group, Satin sneered from where she was, sitting close to Chase. I'm not as polarized as others. Well, we have more in common than we thought, Wong interrupted, indicating to Etienne, who nodded. While we were in China, we discovered something from my father's diary, he said, pulling it out and flipping to the right page. This page, Etienne said, holding his father's diary up like a children's picture book. It's all about the other plane of connection. Huh? Is that what that means? He pointed to one circle, physical plane. He pointed to the other circle, non-physical plane. He pointed to the square, the link. What does that have to do with the children of Gaia and the Aetherites, I asked. Chase and Wong started talking at the same time, and I held up my hand to stop them. Apparently, the competitiveness was still here. Do I have to separate you two children? Just calm down, one at a time. Alright. And I'm going to call that the end of the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.